So first of all, do you want to just introduce yourself to the chat and what is it, what you are, what you do?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me, first of all. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Yeah, so my name's Alan Baines. My brand is Baines Agenda on all my social media. And I'm a journalism graduate, graduated this year from university. And earlier this year, very recently, in the last couple of months, I worked with John McAvoy, Declassified UK, to uncover how do I put this, an ex-Israeli intelligence officer who has links to Labour, is paying content creators, let's put it in those terms, to post basically Labour Party propaganda. So I kind of worked undercover with him via email, and the end article's on Classified UK. So yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. It's a bit more complicated than that, but that's the long and short of it. Yeah.
No problem at all. So are you? I believe you received a message on TikTok from an account named Good News Britain. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I did. Yeah.
And take you through what happened after you received, or what was in the email, and what happened afterwards.
Yeah. So I was just like any other TikToker, I guess. And I just randomly, this is in July, I got a DM from a account called Goodness Britain, as you just said. And it basically said, "Hi, I'm from the Amplifiers. We are working as like a group to bring content creators together to defeat the far right and disinformation on the internet. Would you like to join?" Basically. So I thought, yeah, that sounds great. So I just said, yeah, I thought I've got nothing to lose. So I just agreed to it. And then 24 hours later, something like that, I got an email from Amplifiers and it said, "Hi, welcome to the Amplifiers. Here's like a video call." Kind of exactly how we did this, Google Meet, like literally identical. And on like the Google Meet, like the guest list, I guess you can call it, it said Caitlin Otway, but then the very interesting name is Asaf Kaplan. So if you Google Asaf Kaplan, this has been reported since 2021. Electronic Intifada call him an ex-spy. He's at least an ex-Israeli intelligence officer. He's an Israeli national. He worked in Unit 8200 from 2009 to 2013, which is like Unit 8200 is like a notorious like spying unit in the IDF. Very controversial. They have had many controversies, including blackmail. And there's one allegation from whistleblowers they used to count the number of Palestinian deaths on their headsets. So yeah, pretty dark stuff. Anyway, but this all happened. I'm literally talking hours, literally hours, like 6-7 hours. I kind of between me googling this and we had like a setup video call like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. Anyway, got on the video
Wow.
call and yep, indeed, it was Asaf Kaplan. I saw his face and everything, so I can 100%. It's not hearsay. I literally saw him. First thing they said was quite funny. They said, "We know we've not told you a lot about this so far, but we're the Amplifiers, and we're here to defeat the far right disinformation." Kind of just like kind of saying stuff about saying anything, if you understand what I'm saying. And they were like, "Yeah, so who are you?" So I just said, kind of, "Yeah, I'm a Bain." And they were like, "Yeah, basically, we can offer you £50 a week to post 5 posts a week." And so I was like, okay, that sounds pretty good, to be honest. That was my thought at the time. Because I would emphasize it was literally happening in hours. I only have time to think. So my initial reaction on the call was, I might do it, to be honest. But then I kind of, in my back of my head was kind of ringing an alarm bell, like, oh yeah, this guy's his ex-Israeli operative. So I think I put one question in there, like, oh, what do you want me to post type thing? And I'm like, oh, they're being very evasive, basically. They're like generally anti-far right. They mentioned Farage a few times. I think I might have asked about Israel, not directly, obviously. I didn't want them to cut on to me. And they just kind of just like blew away the question. Like, it's a very, I would emphasize, like, I was a whistleblower for this. I was the only person on the call in the whole world. So kind of trust me when I say this. It was a very weird video call. They were very cold. He didn't smile at any point, Asaf Kaplan. He didn't frown either, to be fair to him. But he was, it was a gut feeling. I can't put it into words, to be honest. It was like an hour call, and they basically said nothing. So my initial thought was, wow, I've just been in a phone call with an ex-Israeli spy. This is nuts. But it was also, to be fair, should I do it? Basically, I mean, and I know for a fact a lot of people have done this, and we'll get onto this in a moment. Because essentially, I would be getting paid £50 a week. It's not a lot, but to basically do nothing. I mean, I do about 5 posts a week on my TikTok anyway for free. And here's an opportunity for me to do that and get paid. They never said post anything pro-Labour or pro-Israel. They were very evasive. All they said was anti-far right. But crucially, they also failed to mention, oh yeah, by the way, my name's Asaf Kaplan. I used to work for Labour. That's the other thing about Asaf Kaplan. He wasn't just ex-Israeli. He used to actually work for Labour as a like digital content guru guy under Starmer. this has been revealed. Guardian, Bindman's, Electronic Intifada, and originally did it. And the original kind of expose, the guy who did it was Asa Winstanley. People might know Asa Winstanley. He's pretty big. Anyway, so I was like, oh, should I do it? And I kind of had like a moral crisis. So it was a true story. I'm looking out my window here. There's a park near me, about 1 minute walk. So the day this happened, I had a call just like this, and I went straight to the park and I just walked around the park for like an hour. And in my head, I was going, do I take the money? Do I do this? Do I not? And I kind of concluded, no, I probably shouldn't, because I thought if I'm an independent journalist, I'm telling the world I'm independent, but really I'm getting paid, I'd feel a bit morally wrong for doing that, and like I'm lying to people. So I don't want to do it as an independent.
I mean, yeah, like is your integrity worth £50 a week, right?
Yeah. And then I thought, oh wow, I should probably report this. This is really quite sinister, because, like I said, if you Google Asaf Kaplan, anyone can do it. He used to work in Unit 8200, like I said, which is revolved in blackmail, spying, and fundamentally he's essentially an Israeli operative working in our government, basically.
I
And
mean,
he
it's one of many. I mean, it's worth pointing out that these kind of schemes are incredibly commonplace. It's incredibly commonplace around the entirety of the social media ecosystem for people working on behalf of political lobbying organizations or political parties or pressure groups to pay influencers to get them on board broadly, even if it's all they're already posting stuff that they would already be in agreement with, but to get a regular content schedule and having that relationship built up so that if things do change, they can be able to try and influence the content these people post. Right. This happens especially across the right wing. It's incredibly frequent.
The other big sticking point for me was the account which DM me, Good News Britain. On their account, there's no indication they were paid by amplifiers. But I know for a fact, because they DM'd me, that they were. And I even actually, just to solidify, I actually DM'd them after the call and I said, by the way, did you speak to Asaf Kaplan and Caitlin? And they said, yes, they are great people, something like that. So, but if you go on their account, they don't tell you that. So if you're an ordinary British citizen and you're scrolling on TikTok, you see Good News Britain, you think you're seeing an independent creator out of the love of their heart posting good news about Britain. It's a pretty fluffy account. It's 5 good things that happened in Britain this week, but they just so happen to be, coincidentally, obviously now I know it's not a coincidence, Labour did this, Labour did that, and it'd be Labour funded this, and it's okay, that's interesting. So I was the public need to know about this because they're being lied to. I kept trying. I called a Palestine Solidarity campaign in London, and they gave me an email of John McAvoy. John McAvoy is a chief reporter for Declassified UK, and he got back to me within hours, to be honest. And he was wow, this sounds great. So in the initial email, I said to him, this is confidential. Don't tell anyone, because you have to put it into context. I mean, it seems easy now it's happened, but in the context at the time, I felt like I was doing something dangerous or wrong, because essentially these people had contacted me thinking they wanted to recruit me. I was essentially leaking information, basically. And not just about anyone, about literally an ex-intelligence officer. If you Google Unit 8200, it's quite sinister. So I thought, if Kaplan finds out what I'm doing, I'm a little bit worried about myself, which is one of the reasons I didn't just do it on my own platform. Anyway, so I get Declassified, and John replies, and then for 2 months after that, every other day, every 3 days, I was emailing him. Basically, I was emailing amplifiers, telling them, hi, I'm really interested in working with you. Can you send me more information? But secretly, I was leaking it all to John McAvoy. And what we found was the script they used to recruit people. So they literally have a script called a script for onboarding call, and it was verbatim what they said to me. So that's why the call was so sterile, because they were just reading from a script. There was no kind of independent thought. And we also got the first week's briefing they wanted me to do if I were to sign up, which was anti-Farage, which might sound good. I'm assuming most of your watchers are anti-Farage.
Quite, yeah.
But the weird thing about that was, at the same time, the Labour kind of social media was all saying heavily anti-Farage. It was obviously not a coincidence. So we revealed that, and it went out. It went posted classified. It got reposted in Telegraph. The Telegraph put a different angle on the story. They kind of pitched it as, look what Labour's doing. They're kind of desperate to attack reform from a kind of a pro-reform point of view. The Canary did the opposite, because they're obviously very left-wing. They did it from an anti-Starmer, anti-Israel point of view. But basically, the long and short of it is, an ex-Israeli spy is working for Labour and paying people to post on social media and lying to the public about it.
How far down the line did you get? Because I read in the article that they tried to get you to sign an NDA, right?
Yeah, so that was the other bizarre thing. So just to sign up, so I've not even signed anything. Just to sign up, they wanted me to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Anyone doesn't know what an NDA is. Basically, if you sign an NDA, you can't talk about what's on the NDA. So my thought was, hey, if this is like a legit operation, just anti-far right, just a nice thing, why are they making me sign an NDA? Because what's the big secret? And it also means that everyone who's already signed up to this and might have had like a moral, like conscious, like pang in their minds, the reason they've not come out is because they've signed away their life to these people. They've signed an NDA, right? These kind of operations, they're basically pointless because at some point you're going to get someone like me, a busybody, who's going to be a whistleblower, and then the whole thing just collapses. So, and then now the stories come out, it just makes Labour look awful. So there's these, and what they're called are AstroTurf campaigns. So people who don't know, AstroTurf campaign is basically when kind of like big kind of bad guys, basically they want you, the public, you, the people, to believe these opinions, these views are kind of from the bottom up, from the grassroots, when really it's the top
Totally
down.
organic, yeah.
Yeah. So Tommy Robinson's the same thing, by the way. He's basically an AstroTurf campaign, and
Tel Aviv Tommy.
that's another discussion. And I think what they're doing is what me and John suspect they're doing. They are deliberately targeting young people, people with small followings, are more likely to sign up to this. And I've just been on LinkedIn. This is all I did. Anyone can research. Basically, the company which owns amplifiers is called 411. Now, 411 is a number of seats that Labour won in general election. So you cannot get more on the nose. This is a Labour operation. And we also know 411 have paid or helped to pay Labour MPs to post on social media. They didn't think to tell me this at any point on the phone call, on the email. They never thought to mention, oh yeah, by the way, we're literally owned by company 411. Or they never mentioned Labour connection. They've got a lot of employees and a lot of people post on TikTok. Just for example, this is, I did a little TikTok, but didn't get much traction. Maybe this will on this little live stream. There's a guy called Josh Tenner. He's quite big on TikTok. He's got something ridiculous like 90K. He's a senior executive for 411. So he definitely knows Asaf Cat Plan. I've been on his account, and it's basically like a dancing, like a music account. But I know that he's at minimum, he knows Asaf Cat Plan. At worst, he works for him. So that's quite a big like public interest, right? And yeah, like who knows how deep this rabbit hole goes, because 411 on their website, which they now deleted after the article came out, very interesting, they have admitted to working in Israel, New Zealand, Italy, and the UK on political operations. This is a global political, like influencer, like online AstroTurf campaign, basically.
When it comes to the other people, you say it's around obviously global as well.
Yeah.
Now, well, I would. This isn't my opinion, but I think a response you'd get from people would be to say, "Well, look, the far right is well connected. The far right is a global movement as well. The far right have loads of different AstroTurf and influencer campaigns trying to build a global move for essentially ethno-nationalism, right? There's this big push, kind of internationally, especially in like Western aligned countries, by the far right in tandem with each other to push the idea of ethno-nationalism, remigration, all that kind of malarkey. And so someone in response might say, well, there needs to be some kind of coordinated movement to try and stop that, right? The issue I have, of course, as you said yourself, like, is that they're not telling anybody that what they're doing is party political, at least tangentially. So what will be your response to those kind of statements?
Well, it's not even tangential. Like the 411 is literally named after the number of seats Labour won the election. So this is a Labour operation. So I don't like reform. I don't like far right. I'm not a fan of ethno-nationalism. And you're right. I mean, I'm sure the far right do have many connections, like global influence. Yeah, you're not wrong. But if it's like, just be transparent about it. That's what I'm saying. Like I am a citizen in the UK, so are you. I haven't done anything wrong. Why should I go on social media? And if I go on social media, I'm going on social media to get away from the mainstream media, because the mainstream media is all corporate owned, owned by billionaires. I've gone on social media to see independent media, like Novara, for instance. I'm not saying I love Navarro, it's all perfect, but at least they're independent, right? I go on social media to get that because I'm watching something I think no one's paying them. This is legit. This is the voice of the people. If I go on social media and I'm reading Good News Britain, I mean, that's just tip of the iceberg. I mean, God knows how many accounts they've got. And it's paid for and they're not telling me. That's in the public interest. So this is a public interest story as much as anything. And as for like this idea of, well, the left need it, I mean, yeah, but do you think Asaf Kaplan, who used to work for Israel, worked in Unit 8200, spied on Palestinians, and worked for Stalin, do you think that's the left? That's not my definition of the left. To me, that sounds like
Yeah.
I'd argue right, not even centre. I'd actually argue right.
I mean, it would be incredibly ironic for somebody who literally used to work for the Israeli state to pushing against the idea of ethno-nationalism when that is literally the kind of central aim of Israel is to be an ethno-nationalist project, right?
It's also the problem of like, because I've had a lot of about it. It's like Kaplan used to work for Israel, and he used to boast about it. He actually deleted all his information after Asa and Stanley exposed him. He's deleted more after me and John exposed him. So if he's clean, why is he deleting information about himself? What's the big secret, Asaf? The other issue is he, like I say, he's an ex-Israeli asset. Who is he going to prioritize? Like, I'm not saying he's a. Look, ultimately, we don't know. I mean, he was in Unit 8200, but we don't know what he did in Unit 8200, to be fair. He worked for Israel, and we all know how Hasbro works. We all know about Mossad. Like, he's not going to. He doesn't have your best interests in mind, okay? He wants Israel's interests. Whether he's not going to admit it, obviously, and he's never going to say it publicly, obviously. He's still got an open Twitter account. It's not even used for years now. It's all in Hebrew. So he's not from Britain. He's from Israel. He's definitely Israeli, and he's working in Britain trying to pay people to post on. Like, why is that allowed? And then the other issue is this: is like Starmer's Labour keeps giving the pretense that we're actually pro-Palestine. Like, to be fair, they did recognize the Palestinian state. They criticized Ben Gvir, and like, okay, that's fine. But then why have you got an ex-Israeli intelligence asset not only working for your trying to pay people like me? They've paid Labour MPs. Like, we know Form 1 have paid Labour MPs.
Oh, and Labour councillors are like open parts for that they openly do things for consultancies and lobbying groups explicitly on behalf of Israel, right?
Yeah.
People have worked for BICOM. Luke Akehurst is a sitting MP who's done work with BICOM. There's councillors like people who work with some CMS Strategic or something was the name of the company that was literally they planted a story that was apocryphal about Palestine Action during the discussion about the prescription of Palestine Action, right? These are people who are embedded in the Labour Party, who are part of organisations that have links to this stuff. I mean, it looks like, from my perspective, this is just me putting the pieces together and making a judgment, that one of the things that you're seeing, of course, is that the progressive left have totally abandoned Israel for obvious reasons, right? We don't like ethno-nationalism, we don't like genocide, we don't like Western imperialism. These are all things that we stand against, and the progressive left have broadly bought into these things, and a lot of progressive liberals have been bought into that too, especially. And if you are somebody who wants the progressive left to be pro-Israel, right? You want the progressive left to move back to where the Labour Party was in the 1970s, wherever, and when the real open Zionists were in charge of the party. Then you would want to be able to have a bunch of content creators under your wing. You start off base level, say anti-Farage, good stuff the Labour government is doing, etc., and then you can move on to, actually, that set a colonial ethno-state in the Middle East, that's not particularly bad either. By having a network of influencers, because we all know that the anti-Israel kind of movement that's happened recently is largely driven by social media interaction, the unmasking of the reality of Zionism by the on-the-ground journalism that's coming up on everybody's phones. If you have a network of influencers who are broadly part of what previously was the progressive left, as far as they were concerned, which was pro-Israel, but now isn't, you can change the discourse to make it more suitable for you. That's why I think there's that link there to try and get people back on side, essentially, given that it's obvious that the Labour government are totally happy to bend the knee when it comes to Israel. Like, you say, obviously, with regards to the Palestinian recognition, and when it comes to Ben Gvir, I mean, it's virtue signalling to me because they realise that the political winds have changed, but when it comes to, as you've already said, the integration between people who've been loyal to Israel and the government itself, they're inseparable at this point.
And also, why does Asaf Kaplan want to help Labour? If Labour were anti-Israel, why would he help Labour. Good News Britain, they weren't posting Green Party propaganda. It was Labour Party. So this guy, Kaplan, he obviously wants Labour to win the next election. They know they're not going to win, which is why they're making desperate steps like talking to people like me on Google Meet and trying to recruit me for £50 a week. So he wants Labour to win. Why does he want Labour to win? He's Israeli.
I'm not any Israeli, and is someone who used to work for the security services.
Yes. The one thing I will say in his defence, I won't say much in his defence, he is, what we know about him online, he is anti-Netanyahu. So he worked for the Israeli Labour Party, we know this. He catastrophically failed. The Israeli Labour Party lost the election horribly to Likud. So he's not even good. That's the thing. Like he's a terrible like spy or content digital guy. I mean, he lost in Israel, his party. He's gonna lose with Labour in 2029. I mean, we don't know, but come on. Like, so he's rubbish, basically. And ultimately, his operation got exposed by me, and I'm not even that special. So he's not even good at his job. And yeah, like I said, this is an ongoing story. We don't know how deep it goes. I've done some own research. I've contacted Asa Winstanley. Asa Winstanley was the original journalist to expose Asaf Kaplan as working for Labour. Before that happened, we didn't know. It was not public knowledge. Before 2021, Kaplan may have been working for Labour. We don't know. But we know at least since 2021, he's been working for Labour. He helped get them elected in 2024. And now we know he's not just doing that. He wants to essentially help them get elected in 2029, it seems. Some people might say, well, everyone's in Israel, everyone's a conscript, right? They don't have a choice. They have to join the IDF, right? You might think that's fair enough. Kaplan overstayed his mandatory service in the IDF. He made a choice to literally stay longer in the IDF than he had to. And he didn't just work for the IDF, he worked for a very notorious spy unit. So this is a man who's made his choices in life.
And even if you're on the Israeli centre-left, it was the Israeli Labour Party centre-left president who said that there were, like, no innocent people in Gaza. Like, he's had his own quotes about the genocide used against Israel at the ICJ.
Which one was this, just out of interest?
Isaac Herzog was the Labour Party president.
Someone tweeted, well, actually, that's racist because we'll just discriminate him because he's Israeli. No. He's not Israeli. He literally worked for the intelligence organization. And he, like I say, he overstays his stay in the IDF. And the other thing I've been thinking this recently in my head is if he's truly like an Israeli leftist, right? And he's truly like a genuine anti-Netanyahu, why isn't he working in Israel? Isn't that the priority right now? Has he seen what's happening in Israel? Shouldn't he be working hard every single day to oust Netanyahu in Israel, to bring the left wing of Israel to power, to stop the genocide? Shouldn't that be his priority? What's he doing in Britain, trying to get Starmer elected? So however way you look at it, it just looks so bad on him. I also think it looks bad on the people who took the money. We know their operation is pretty big. We know it's global. Think about how many people are taking money. So a lot of people have been in my position, ordinary people, I'm assuming, young people, I'm assuming, because it's on TikTok. They have accepted £50 a week to sell their soul, basically, to sign an NDA, sign up for an organization run by Asaf Kaplan. This is kind of the $1 million question. And this is, I mean, anyone in the public can do it now as public journalism if you really want to do it. Who else works for Forum on the amplifiers and what are they posting? You know?
And that's a very important thing to add. I mean, because it's clear that Labour have a very wide social media strategy now. Yeah. They realise that they've been missing it. They've been training their own MPs to become influencers. You'd have to assume that people are cross-pollinating between all these different social media projects. They got a bunch of finance influencers on site to explain the budget on TikTok and stuff like that. That was last year. So it's clear that they have this really kind of wide-ranging social media strategy, essentially because they realise that they've way behind on this stuff than Farage and Reform. Although at the very least, at least they're doing the traditional manner of paying people to do it and shutting up about it rather than posting videos talking about Among Us memes on Cameo like Farage is. But even so,
but the thing is, for me, is like, because that's like, I mean, you do it, like people say, oh well, the far right do it, Reform do it, so we should be copying them. It's like, no, we should be above that, right? We should be. I mean, yeah. It's fine to post. Look, if people want to post pro Labour Party stuff, they have their rights to. I don't, free speech, free country, whatever. If you want to advocate Labour, I'm not going to hate you. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Even Reform if you really want to. I mean, I don't like it, but look, it's your right. But tell people you're doing it. If you're being paid, you should tell people you're being paid because that's in the public interest.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an independent. I'm assuming you're independent.
Yeah.
We're not paid. So our viewers are watching us knowing that. And that's important because, like I said a long time ago, the reason I go on social media is specifically for independent media. So to know that all sides of the political spectrum, or at least Labour, are circumventing that is quite irritating to me. And like I said, they on the call, almost like a third of the call was them asking me who else to recruit. So they're obviously trying pretty hard. I mean, at the time, I think I had 200 followers on TikTok, so I wasn't big. So they're obviously targeting people who they think. I mean, this is getting a bit. I'm guessing here, but I don't think it's an educated guess. They're not going to be targeting Ash Sakar, right, or Aaron Bastani. They're going to be
Definitely not.
targeting like 16-year-olds with 100 on TikTok. People who think they can get in early, they can manipulate them, make them sign an NDA. £50 a week might mean a lot to these people. I just thought that was quite sinister. I mean, they didn't on the call. They didn't ask me my age. They didn't ask me who. They basically just asked you who are you, and who else do you recommend. They didn't say here's what we want you to post. I mean, I asked them on email. I think I said something like, I mean, obviously I was leaking stuff to John at this point, and this is a kind of a double agent thing going on here. I think I said at one point, who else have you got on your books, basically? Like who else is, and they wouldn't tell me. So if this is like a genuine operation, what's the big secret? They should be proud of it. I mean, I would emphasize again, this is an ongoing story. I would like
More
to know.
information will come out. We'll see. We'll end up.
Yeah.
Again, if there are more updates and stuff, we'll definitely get you back on to talk about
Yeah,
it.
100%. Anyway, love you talking to you though.
No worries. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you very much for coming on. Shout again your socials so people can follow you.
Yeah, no worries. So it's Baines Agenda. So it's BAINS.agenda on TikTok, same on Instagram and on YouTube. And I've got my own website, bainesagenda.com. I don't just do social media. I've been publishing. I'm a journalist, been publishing lots of places. So I have bylines in quite a few independent media outlets.
Again, I'll put the links in the description for that as well. Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership to just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.